Next way, go. Here at Hog Island. No. These two ships in front of us, they're got... Dreaming of a life back on Jupiter. My wife and I have put together a plan to put Jupiter back in the water and sail across the North Atlantic to Spain, all within a year. That's what I'm going to be talking about today. So if you're new here, we spent 4 years sailing Jupiter 2/3 of the way around the world to get to North America. Currently, we're on the west coast of Mexico in a little Mexican town. Jupiter's been on the hard for 3 years, collecting a lot of dust. The last 2 winters, we've been down there doing some repairs. I've been addressing a corrosion issue, which is about half finished, and we had a whole long list of projects that we wanted to do. Princess found that this year, 2025, the Spanish government changed their immigration policies to invite previous Spanish colonies to come and live in Spain. They must be getting low on people there. So they've offered this option to come and live in Spain, and after 2 years of living in Spain, they will give you an EU passport. Princess Filipina passport has a big problem trying to enter countries, requiring a visa for anywhere she goes. In South Africa, they told us the only option is to go back to the Philippines and apply again for a visa. All seem to be going well here, the Montego Bay Yacht Club. Once again, they won't let Princess in. So we're here in St. Martin on the Dutch side, not letting us in. Normally Filipina requires a visa to arrive, but on the government website it says if you are arriving by boat and you are crew, and she is fully qualified crew because we paid for a seaman's book and training, then you can apply for a visa waiver. So I said yes, we want to apply for a visa waiver. No, you must have an agent. So we got an agent. Now the government department is saying no. And the stupid reason that they've given our agent is there's too many people trying to enter the country illegally. We're trying to do it legally.
Relax.
I need a drink. And when you're at sea, you can't produce the documents they need. Police reports, medical reports, and all sorts of, firm addresses for the last year or two. You don't have an address when you live on the boat. So to get an EU passport in 2 years' time, wow. We've decided we can't turn that down. We've got to go live in Spain. I don't want to be living anywhere without Jupiter. We've done it for long enough. We've explored North America in the RV. It's been great. But I tell you what, my heart aches for Jupiter sitting down there. Hey crew, did you know that there's about 60% of you guys that are returning viewers but not subscribers? It would be so helpful if you could just push that subscribe button. It doesn't cost anything, no commitments, but it would help us out an awful lot. Appreciate it. Cheers. Not rotting in the desert, but deteriorating in the desert, and the sun is just eating everything. Of course, wherever we go we want sun, yeah, true, but a machine needs to be used. It's like an airplane. Any boat needs to be used for it to keep working, otherwise things break constantly. And I wanted to get back onto Jupiter, and why not take him to the Med? Well, I'll tell you why not. There's 2 reasons why not. I'm working full time. and I can't afford to stop work right now to take time off to sail Jupiter to Europe. What we would do is me try and sail during my days off. I'm currently working 18 days on, 13 days off. It's really hard to sail anywhere in 13 days because you usually need to wait for a weather window, a time when the weather is suitable to help you to go to your destination and not hinder you. And Spain's not exactly nearby. The other reason we don't want to sail to Spain is because it's the wrong direction. We wanted to complete the circumnavigation. If anywhere, we want to sail across the Pacific and end up back in the Philippines to complete our circumnavigation. But why would we want to sail to Spain? Wow, to see the Med, of course. Med's 2,500 miles wide, surrounded by all these different countries and cultures. Of course we want to go see that. So it's a great chance, since we're going to be living in Spain, to do that. On my 13 days off every month, we can sail a little bit around, a little bit more, and it's going to be great. So that is the reason. So ultimately our circumnavigation can wait, and instead we're going to explore Earth, specifically the Mediterranean. So step number one, we're up in Oregon right now. It's getting real cold and we're a little overdue to get back to the boat. We would normally be working, this time last year we were working on the boat. We were delayed because we had an appointment in Vancouver for our work visas, and that was in October. So right now we're on the road, we're headed south, and we'll be back on the boat. Small chance we'll be back on the boat mid-November. How much work have we got to do on the boat? Fair bit, actually. Last winter, we started working on the corrosion. I'll admit I was a little slow in getting that underway. I was scared to remove paint, really, because it's like, oh my God, it's such a huge job to put paint back on, right? To make it look pretty. It's such a huge job, and it's not one that I'm familiar with. As it turned out, removing the corrosion was pretty easy and pretty fast. We have done about 50% of the corrosion work on the boat. So I've got 50% more to remove. I think I can have that done in about 3 or 4 days. The big job, putting paint back on and making it look pretty. So that's yet to be done. That's cosmetic, really. But since I've half started it, I need to finish that. The number one priority is to make the boat seaworthy. Now, what do I mean by seaworthy? Really, there's only 2 rules to sailing the oceans, if you ask me. You can break everything down to 2 rules. That is, don't fall off, stay on the boat, right? That's the number 1 golden rule. Number 2 golden rule, keep the water on the outside of the boat, right? Where can water enter the boat? Through hulls and hatches. They're the ones that I have to check. Through hulls, as you long-term watchers probably remember, we have plastic through hulls, nylon. We're an aluminium boat, we can't have bronze through hulls. Now I'm going to give them a bit of a wobble. Pretty happy with that one. It must be either fiberglass reinforced plastic or the ones we have are nylon. I need to make a decision whether to replace those. And I've got this idea, which would be the ideal solution for a through hull in an aluminium boat or any metal boat, and that is to weld in the through hull. And that's something I'm thinking about. I don't know the pros and cons. Well, I obviously know the pros. It's going to be surely stronger than the plastic through hulls. Although these nylon through hulls seem to be lasting. Jupiter's over 10 years old now, and I'm going to give them a real good push and a real good tug, but I'm pretty confident in them still. Nylon tends to last a long time. But if I had the chance, and I'm thinking about buying a welder, because I've got some other jobs I want to do on Jupiter with a welder, welding in aluminium pipe to attach the hoses to bring the through hulls, not only to make them stronger so that you can't kick them over and break them, but also to, in some of the through hulls, I want to make the aluminium pipe come up above the waterline. So if the hose did fail, if a hose clamp failed, then the boat's not going to sink, because the actual through hull pipe goes above the waterline. That's my ideal. I'm still thinking about that, whether we can get that done in such a rush too. So possible, but maybe not yet. That's one thing. The other hull, hatches, right? Most of my ports are glued to the hatch, right? So the opening ports on the side of Jupiter have two really just locating screws, but the actual mechanical bond from the polycarbonate to the hatch is glue. It's a silica, GE silicon, I can't remember, S9000 or something. And it is a glazing glue to hold windows into skyscrapers, right? And it's pretty important they don't fall out too. I really got to check the bond, yeah? I'm just going to pull on those things, make sure that they're not going to come off mid-passage. What else is important for an ocean passage? The rig. Our rig has been sitting in the dust in the sun for the last 3 years. The actual standing rigging is about 5 years old. Maybe you guys remember we replaced it in Pensacola, and I did it myself by just buying the wire and stay-lock fittings. I've never had a rigger look at the rig. Now and again down in Puerto Penasco, a rigger will come down because there's a bunch of boats need inspection. If he happens to be around, I might pay for him to inspect our rig. I got to replace the masthead light, the tricolor light and anchor light up there. It's an LED, it's over 10 years old and only half the LEDs are working now. That needs to be replaced. Apart from an inspection, not much else needs work on the rig. Maybe some running rigging needs a little attention. It's generally been out of the sun. It's only the very top end of the halyards that are in the sun, which brings up another problem that we've got, and that is I put all the halyards through, pull them down to put them inside the boom bag to keep them out of the sun. The retrieval line that I used has all gone in the sun and is gone. I didn't leave that cord on the floor then. Where's that come from? You know where it's come from?
No. Holy
I would have thought that would have lasted longer than 1 year.
Can you see me?
Oh, now the challenge is to get the halyards back. Still don't know how I'm going to do that. Anyway, there's a small chance we may decide to drop the mast and just go over it thoroughly on the ground next to the boat, replace the lights and have a really good check, yeah. But that again is extra time. That could be a week's job just there. Removing the rig, doing the work, putting the rig back up. That's possibly a week's work there when we're short on time. Still to be decided. Engines. Our Beta Marine engines have not been run for 3 years. They've not been started. Every time I go down there, I'll turn over the crankshaft, try and get a little bit of oil up and down the cylinder walls to avoid corrosion. Basically, I need to run the engines, and you can't easily do that on the hard. I may end up buying a big trash bin, put it up on the deck, fill it with water, siphon some water down into the intake of the engine, and we could possibly run the engine like that. But remember, we're balanced on wooden blocks on the hard there. I don't want the vibration to jiggle us off the blocks and make us fall over. So there's a bit of a risk to it, and I'm going to be careful with it. But that's something we may do. It's a horrible situation to be hanging in the travel lift in the water, ready to launch, and find your engines don't work. So we'll see. We've got to do that. Rudder. I haven't shown you guys yet, but the last time we're on Jupiter, I took the rudders off to access the transom so I could remove the corrosion there. When I took the rudders off, I come to find we've got a big hole in the bottom of one rudder where the anode bolts on to the rudder. Those stainless steel bolts have eaten away the bottom of the aluminium rudder. So I need to replate the bottom of the rudder. I'm also pretty concerned about these 10-year-old rudders. They're not ideally built. Dan up in Port Townsend has done a better job of building his rudders. 100% aluminium. My rudders are stainless steel rudder shaft with stainless steel webs inside the rudder, which then stainless steel bolt into the aluminium webs to hold it all together. The reason for that, to have an aluminium shaft, you need solid aluminium, and I'm not even positive that's going to work. Dan, let me know if it works. There's a chance that alley stock may twist. Anyone that knows about this sort of material and the structural integrity of that, let me know in the comments, because that would be the reason stainless steel tube is used in the first place, because it is stronger, it doesn't bend so easily. But there's an inherent risk of corrosion with it because mixing aluminium and stainless in salt water is a problem, right? The alley will lose. And that's what's happened with my rudders. Now I've got a big hole in the bottom of one. I'm going to put the camera, the borescope camera, up in there, and we're going to try and have a look at what corrosion is going on, because I know my rudders leak. They are filling with water all the time, probably through the anode screws. So Dan came up with a solution for that too, and that's something that I'm going to implement on Jupiter. So I've got to repair the rudder, and probably both rudders. And I want to do all this within the next 4 months. Lastly, the water maker needs rebuilding. That shouldn't take too long. It's really just, replacing some of the plumbing. However, there's some stainless steel fittings I need to make, and that's another reason to buy a welder, is to rebuild these stainless fittings. It's the high pressure end of the water maker, where the main valve and the gauge mine is leaking. And that is caused because when it was a hydraulic supplier place that built these connections for me. He brazed them together. I don't know the chemical makeup. You guys out there that do, let me know. I don't know what silver braze, no, I don't know if it's silver brazing. Anyway, it's stainless fitting to stainless fitting, but there was no thread. And he said, don't worry, I'll just braze it. And I said, is it going to be good for 800 PSI? Yeah, no problem. And it's been fine, except whatever the brazing material has corroded. Whether it had any copper or less noble element in it compared to the stainless steel sitting in salt water, of course, that has corroded away, and now it's got pinholes everywhere in it. So it's not only is it weak, but it's leaking. So I need to rebuild those fittings. So there's the challenge with the water maker, but it's doable. Straight up.